DSA one UGA fan rants and opinions. Yeah, I've been gone for a minute, but I got some things I want to talk about right quick. Try not to be too long, but I do want to say condolences to Devin Willard and to the other passenger that was in the car, whose name I cannot remember at this moment, that passed away about a week or two ago. Condolences to the family, friends, teammates of that young man and that young lady. That was a tragedy, and I'm not going to speak on it too much because a lot of people have already covered it, but I do want to say my condolences to him and his family. Um, Now that I think about certain things that went on during the football season and catching up on Gold and Blue Dude, some of the stuff he was talking about, from what I've seen so far, UGA can three-peat. Like I said, last time I didn't see nobody stop in Georgia. This time I really don't see nobody stop in Georgia but Alabama. Depending on how Jalen Milroe plays, Milroe or Monroe, depending on how he play and what Alabama's looking like offensively, and now they got a new, I want to say offensive coordinator. They don't have a DC yet, but Alabama is still gonna be the team to beat. Alabama fans still have in their heads, which is rightfully so, that they are the team to get through in order to get to the national. In order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And in this case, it got to be Alabama again. And Colorado, I see Colorado probably going 6-6 with Deion the first year that he starts coaching the team and they have their first season together, and give that man 5 years. If he stays there 5 years, for him to start getting his recruits in there, at least up into the junior, senior season of him being there. So by that point, we should be able to know what Deion's coaching staff and team is looking like by then. It just feels weird thinking about how certain things have went down this season. Stetson Bennett done got arrested. The young man passed away. The young lady passed away. And I don't want to overshadow or not put respect on the young man because I don't know any of the players. I don't know the young lady that passed with him. I know there was some rumors that came out at the time of the situation that I didn't really even pay attention to like that. But from what I gathered or understood, that they could have been possibly messing around or something to that effect. Like I said, there are rumors, and I could even be wrong on that, speaking on it in February. But that's just what I gathered from little clips that I seen that I didn't even pay attention to because I was looking at it in the aspect of this man done passed away, this young lady done passed away, and two of the other teammates, I think that was in the car, they was severely hurt. And I did just see that one of the players that came out and spoke about the incident or whatever, but I didn't even look into it. I just seen a clip of it, like the heading or whatever the case may be on the video. And it's not something that you or a person would want to speak on the passing of a young person in such a fashion. And I don't want to just seem like I'm skimming over it and not talking about the young man like that, and just pretty much just taking him as a player and that's it. The young man has family, and this is something I've been really wanting to speak on, but I really didn't have the time to speak on it because I really wanted to speak on it like right after it happened, just to pretty much give my condolences and say a few things. But like I just said, I don't know him or any of the players or any of the staff. So I can't speculate or say he was a good young man and this, that, and the third. The people who know him already said that. They already said their piece on it. I just wanted to show the young man some respect. So I think I've pretty much done that as of right now. So I'm going to move on to some of my other rants or opinions on this upcoming football season. So Georgia has 3 QBs, and Beck is more than likely going to be the starter unless Vandegrift or Gunner beat him out. And if either one of them beats him out, that's to me says something about the staff / the player. Excuse me, he's been there all this time and he has not grasped what is going on to beat one of them, to be beaten by one of those two. That's an issue to a degree because he might not physically fit the style that Stetson has led the team with as far as being able to evade and be elusive in the pocket. Now, if Beck doesn't have that, and some people saying he's from 2.0, there's going to be a problem. Because the name of the game for the longest time now that we know of as college football fanatics is that you got to have a quarterback that can move. I mean, Duggan, he can move, but the defense swallowed him up. And if Carson cannot move and the offensive line don't hold up, he's going to get hit a lot. He might not make the season. And I'm not saying he might not make it because he's not mentally built for it or it might be too much for him. I'm just saying you take too many hits in that pocket from the bigger defensive linemen and linebackers and even safeties on safety blitzes and corners, you're not going to last all season. Look what happened to Tua. Tua could move, but he really couldn't move like that when they were putting that pressure on him and them dudes was hitting him. And I'm not saying Carson is a Tua as far as him having the playmaking ability, but I'm just saying that stuff takes a toll on a body from being hit so much. And with him being young, as in not playing a full game or games, that can fluster him and have him throw it off. Not saying that wouldn't even happen to Carson. Not saying that wouldn't happen to Vandegrift or Gunner, but still, that's quite a lot to be trying to deal with as a young man getting hit repeatedly like that. I think Michigan had a quarterback like 2 or 3 years ago that was getting nailed. Tua was getting nailed. He had he had been sacked like 30 something times, give or take some. I mean, he still hung in that pocket and did what he had to do, but come on now. I think Mississippi State took him out for not the rest of the season, but he was hurt from that Mississippi State game going forward. Like, dude stayed in the tent. And Tua could scramble. He could get out of there. He can even extend the play. Like, take off running down the field. He was a dual threat to a degree. But he wasn't physically big enough to take that type of punishment. And now he's in the NFL, and I'm thinking from what one of the articles that I read saying dude might be retiring. Now, if Carson Beck can stay healthy, hopefully Brock gets some playing time this year as well. Because from what I understand, at least up until this point, out of the signing class, they were going after Puglisi, and now they're going after another guy named Dylan or something to that effect. One of those two. And if they bring him on, that'll be Beck at least for 2 to 3 years, Brock for a year or two, Gunner for 2 to 3 years. And both of those guys have sat for 2 to 3 years. Now, if Kirby and company can get these quarterbacks and get them to stay, like wait their turn, that's miraculous. That's a very miraculous thing. To get young men to come to a school and stay and wait their turn to play. When the transfer portal is like, yo, I'm right here. And I think I spoke on this last time. Once you jump into that portal, your scholarship is revoked or taken. And then if you come back to said school, if they don't have any scholarships, you now become a walk-on. So I mean, I'm looking at it from a thought process of, if I go to this school as a quarterback, I don't get any playing time, I'm just gonna use that time to get my degree. And then when I do get a chance to play, I'll play 1 year at Georgia, probably win a national, or at least something close to it. And if not, play at Georgia, then transfer to another school and be the starter there. At least get 2 years out of it. Instead of just sitting there getting nothing. And I'm talking about as far as football wise. But back to Deion. I was excited to see him at JSU until the fuckery started happening. And then Ed Reed, folks talking about Ed Reed was acting like a bitch or something to that effect. He should have said this, that, a different type of way. I feel like some of you people who said that shit, y'all soft as hell. Like, that man came there to do something great, and they pretty much shitted on him and then expected him to be, I guess you could say, classy about what was going on. That man was hurt. Y'all, people trip me out when they want men to act a certain type of way with their emotions. Oh, he shouldn't have been cussing. Man, sit your scare ass down somewhere. Okay, that was weird. Ed Reed shouldn't have to, in a sense, explain himself on what he was feeling and what was going on. He was exposing another school that had some fuckery going on, and then some of these fans from JSU and Bethune-Cookman, like, yeah, we don't need him. Y'all need somebody to give y'all some type of shine, because y'all getting shitted on. And I dare somebody to get my comment section and be like, well, what have you did for the HBCUs? Shout out, I'm one person. If I had billions of dollars to share out to the HBCUs to a degree, I wouldn't even do it. Just for the simple fact that they get government money or subsidies, and some of that has been cut, which ain't their fault. But I'm saying, from the money that they did get, what the fuck did they do with it? And this is not me bashing. I'm just asking. These schools get money from these students coming there. What are y'all doing with the money? But then had the audacity to be like, PWIs don't have these problems. Of course they don't. Not a lot of them. And this is not knocking all HBCUs, but I'm quite sure there are some HBCUs that don't have this issue. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the ones that got this issue. We supposed to support the HBCUs, but at the same time, we supporting them, but they ain't, what the fuck are they doing for the students? My concern is about the students. How does a student go to a school and you got mold or mildew in the ceiling, on the ceiling, in the ceiling, whatever, and it's stinking there? Like, what the fuck? I wouldn't want my child going there. I send them to, if I had the ability to do it, I send them to a PWI. Or I would send them to a better HBCU. Folks mad that Deion balked on them, and Colorado don't have the money to pay him. But what Colorado said, we finna get him this money. What was Jackson State saying? Fuck him, we finna take this money. We ain't finna do shit for him. So that makes certain schools in the HBCU realm look like shit. And then you got the audacity to be trying to act like you doing something. We gonna be JSU when he gone. This, that, and the third. Y'all wasn't shit before he got there. The fuck is y'all talking about? Like, nobody was looking at y'all like that. Folks was watching Grambling, FAMU, even Bethune-Cookman, Southern. Folks was looking at them schools. Nobody paying attention to JSU like that. Hell, I tried to watch a couple of goddamn HBCU games and couldn't even really see them until Deion got there. And some of the schools that they played, they got on TV. I mean, come on now, he did something. Ed Reed was trying to do the same thing. Eddie George is at TSU. I don't hear nobody talking about TSU got them type of issues. Tennessee State University. So, I mean, Eddie George didn't come out saying nothing, so apparently they ain't doing it like that. It just trips me out how people want to sit up here and talk shit about somebody for doing what they did for the school when nobody that graduated from the school that's making bands, like making a grip of money, has even came back to the school. I don't even think Deion didn't even go to JSU and came to that school and put them on. Anyway, I don't see Colorado doing a whole lot this year. And for Colorado fans or people who know Colorado fans and they thinking they finna turn up and do this, that, no, you're not. You're not. The best you can do is 8-4. You're not going to the playoffs. You just might make your conference championship. And that's not no knock on Deion's coaching skills. It's just looking at the conference that he's in, looking at what he got, that's who's there with him, and it's a whole new playing scheme. Folks got to understand this shit just don't happen overnight like that. It's been few coaches to make it to their conference championship their first time there. And that was back in the BCS era. Urban Meyer's one of them, because he came from, I think, Utah or Houston. I think he came from Houston to Florida. Them boys turned up like 2 years in a row, made it to the conference championship, and they made it to the national. Ain't been back since. I mean, I don't know too many other coaches outside of him that got to a program the first, maybe the second year and do it like that. And Kirby, in a sense, he needed 3 to 5 years to get there. If he keep up this pace, he should have 6 and 15 years. Especially if he go back to back to back. Maybe don't make it the next year and go back to back and then back to back again. I mean, that's 7, but still. 7 and 15 years, 6 and 15 years. That's something Nick Saban ain't did. He's gotten 6 in the 15 years that he's been there. He hasn't gotten them at the speed that Kirby's getting them in. And that's no knock to Nick Saban. He just came in at a totally different time. He came in the BCS era racking up wins. Then came into the playoff racking up wins. So, I mean, he's been through 2 eras of getting national championship. Kirby was with him when he won those, so he won those as a defensive coordinator. But I'm saying as far as playoff era, Kirby's in the playoff era when he got his 2, possibly 3. Brian Kelly, I don't see them beating Alabama this year. I think I see the same thing happening this year as last year. Brian Kelly and them gonna probably sneak Alabama and get past them and make it to the playoffs, because Alabama might take 2 L's. At least 1. And 1 might be to Brian Kelly. So if LSU beat Alabama and Alabama takes at least 1 more loss and LSU stays pretty much with 1 loss or unscathed, it'll be Georgia and LSU again. And probably Georgia and LSU in the playoffs. And I did mention Golden Blue Dude earlier. He keep talking about the Big 12, ACC. I mean, not the Big 12, the Pac-12 and the ACC. The ACC probably going to fold, as in go under and lose a bunch of teams. Or the Pac-12 going to get destroyed because a lot of their teams are leaving. They should bring in some Mountain West teams, but they don't want them, or something to that effect. I'm like, we don't know what's going to happen. We might as well just sit here and wait to see what happens instead of doing all this speculating. But it is very entertaining, so I give him credit for that. Don't nobody know what the hell is going to happen. All these insiders saying this, that, and the third, and ain't half of that shit happened yet. Half of that stuff he done talked about didn't even fall to fruition. He was talking about before the season and during the season last year about Notre Dame and West Virginia coming to the ACC. Notre Dame ain't did that shit yet. It's looking like, to a degree, Notre Dame don't even want to be in a conference. But the way these conferences are forming, in order for them to get in, they got to be perfect. and Notre Dame gonna fuck around and have no choice but to join the conference. And this is going off of what Golden Blue Dude said, that Notre Dame should join the ACC, which I agree, because they already play, like, the rest of their sports are already in the ACC except for football. But they should, but they want to go to the Big Ten. But me listening to him, I didn't notice that Michigan and Notre Dame got beef to a degree. So, with Notre Dame being a team that goes all over the country and plays everybody, or plays their schedule per se, that in a sense doesn't help them if the teams that they're playing are garbage. It's one thing if half the teams on their schedule was in the top 10. I'm not going to say the top 15, the top 10. And they beat those. That makes them look good. But with them not joining a conference, I don't feel bad for Notre Dame. Stay your ass where you at. And then he was talking about the SEC kisses Notre Dame's ass. How the fuck does the SEC kiss their ass? You mean the ACC kisses Notre Dame's ass? Because Notre Dame would not make it in the SEC. Everybody knows that who watches college football except for delusional fans, and I'm not even counting them. I'm talking about the real rational fans that look at college football know Notre Dame would not survive in the SEC. They better off joining the ACC and giving Clemson a run, which will help the ACC, or joining the Big Ten, which will be Michigan, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. So when the 12-team playoff open up, if they do join, that gives them 3 teams that can give all the other conferences headaches. But then again, to a degree, it'll be Michigan, Ohio State, hypothetically Notre Dame, along with USC and UCLA. And that's if USC and UCLA get better. They have had classic games in the 90s, and I don't think they had any in the 2000s, but in the 90s, the Big Ten and the Pac-12 was the shit. And then the Big 12, then the SEC, ACC. Tables have turned. It's the SEC, Big Ten, and everybody else. Some people are saying the playoffs is supposed to open up in 2 years. So I'm thinking they're counting 2023 and 2024, or are they counting 2024 and 2025? Because I haven't heard any new news as far as the 12-team playoff expansion starting in 25 or 26. I've heard it starting in 24. So they're probably counting this year, 2023, which hasn't started yet as far as football season. And then in 2024, it opens up to 12 teams. In which case, a lot of you conference fans of other conferences are going to be mad as hell if you get a Georgia, a good Tennessee, a good Alabama, and then everybody else. That's 3 spots that's locked up. And I think you got to be in the top 10. So if the SEC has 4 teams in the top 10, the top 2 going to be in the top 2 spots. 1 through 4. And you got to bye. Everybody else got to fight their way up there. So, if Tennessee gets Wisconsin and blow them out, then they got to play whoever else, and then they got to play for the national. And to a degree, from what I'm looking at it like, that's doing too damn much. The college football realm is trying to turn into a mini NFL, and that's been said for years. Yeah, I think I've even said that in some past videos. That's doing too fucking much. Y'all making billions off these players from all sports. Don't really want to pay them none, but then you want to put them through more shit than need be. I truthfully think it should be an 8-team playoffs. That means all the Power 5 get in, then 3 at-large bids, like a Cincinnati when they were independent, like a Notre Dame, and even a Hawaii if Hawaii was decided to take off and get good that one season. That will help, but people so money hungry, it is fucking up the players. And to a degree, I wouldn't even be mad if the players, like one dude was saying, I forgot what podcast I was listening to. It was probably Golden Blue Dude I was listening to, his hour-long stream that he had earlier today, where the schools might form a union, and then the players might form a union. Like, look, we not finna play all these games. Like, y'all doing too fucking much. And I hope it happen. I really do. I hope it happens. Because this shit is getting ridiculous. We had the BCS. The BCS, I ain't gonna lie, was ass. Then we moved to a 14 playoffs because people was bitching about who's getting in. People still got an issue with that. Okay, fuck it. 14 playoff is ass. You want to jump straight to 12? You're not even going to take baby steps and do 8 and see how that work out. You want to go straight to 12. And most of y'all are already bitching and complaining about the SEC keeps getting in. Well, look at what the fuck the SEC is doing. During the bowl season, the SEC had the most teams in, 11. Like, who's doing it? Who's putting in 11 teams in bowl games? Don't worry, I'll wait. Gold and Blue dude gonna be real pissed off. Because I don't see West Virginia getting in no time soon. Kangaroo Black gonna be talking a lot of shit. Hurricane T2Y, he probably just gonna be keep talking shit to Florida and Miami fans. I mean, Big Dog Bread, Uncle Lou, and a couple other folks, because I'm nowhere near as big as any of the ones I just named. It's gonna be plenty of shit talking. Especially when that 12 team open up. And if you got people that ride for the conference, y'all gonna hear SEC a lot. Because when they came out with that statement saying it just means more, you damn right it just means more. It really does. Because nobody else is doing it like the SEC. Alabama done carried a bunch. LSU done got a few. UGA got 2. Auburn got 1. Florida got 2. I mean, who the fuck else is raking in nationals like that? But yet and still you bitch complain talking about, oh, the SEC suck. They conference soft. They schedule soft. If it's just that fucking soft and your shit is that much better, why the fuck y'all not in there getting nationals like that? When was the last time Pac-12 got a national? When was the last time Big Ten got a national? Last time I think the Big 12 got one was when Vince Young was at fucking Texas. That was like what, 05? So damn near 25 years since Texas got one. And some of you fans gonna be talking shit. Well, it took UGA 40-something years to get one. Well, we got 2 back-to-back. What about that? Speak on that, goddamn it. You can't, because your team probably ain't did it. And if they did do it, it was the early 2000s. Y'all ain't did shit since. And UGA been a threat since the early 2000s. You couldn't get to the SEC championship unless you went through Georgia for 10 years straight. It wasn't going through Florida. It wasn't going through Kentucky. It damn sure wasn't going through South Carolina. And Missouri just jumped in. It went through. You still had to go through Georgia to get there. So for most of these fans, they be talking shit about Georgia not really being a threat. Bitch, if you was in the East, you had to go through Georgia to get there. Fuck what you talking about. And in the West, you had to go through Bama. So what that say? Bama has been winning a lot of the nationals, which is rightfully deserved, and they deserve to talk as much shit as they want to. But in the East, you had to go through UGA. There was no way around it. You beat Georgia, you in there, you locked in. This year, even, I take that back, not just this year, but since Mark Richt has left, you still had to beat Georgia to get to the SEC championship. That's damn near 20-something years running. Actually, it is 20-something, like 21, 22 years going. That you got to go through Georgia to get to the SEC championship in the East. Like, the fuck is y'all talking about? Until Georgia loses a game, like during the Mark Richt era in the early Kirby years, you still got to go through Georgia. And if one of y'all go through Georgia, beat Georgia, and fuck around and lose 2 games, Georgia's right back in it. Well, that's my rant. Those are my opinions and my condolences. This DSA one UGA fan ranting opinions. I'm out.